Hi, this is Tracie DeMars with the Rentback Group, and it's a 2 for a week. Yay! Happy September. I want to talk about a term that you're hearing a lot right now, which is called rentback. And rentback's important to understand in a couple of different ways, how it works for the buyer and how it works for the seller. Okay. A lot of people get kind of confused on how when is signing and recording, when is closing. Hey, I signed. Do I get my keys? That's what happens at HGTV. That is not what happens in the state of Washington. What happens after you sign, the buyer signs separately, the seller signs separately. Everybody gets a copy of what they signed, and they get sent home. A lot of things still have to happen after signing. Okay. After all signing, the title company is going to send all those documents back to the lender. Underwriter's going to look at it again. They can still ask for more information. Normally at this point, they don't. Funding occurs. Once funding occurs, the lender calls you and says, hey, congratulations, you funded. They're done. The funding's occurred. Banks have got their money. You're not closed. You still don't own this home because after funding, all that information still has to go back to the title company, who then has to send it to the courthouse to record. Recording is closing. Recording is when the previous owner's name is removed from title and the new owner's name is placed on title, saying, hey, at the courthouse, they are acknowledging that this new person owns this home. Recording only happens Monday through Friday, business days only, usually between 10 and noon and 3 and 5. So no recordings are going to happen on Monday because Monday's Labor Day. Okay. So now you understand that recording is closing. Closing is recording, not when you sign. Okay. This is all this time after funding when everything gets their money. This is really important to understand because as a buyer, this is what happens for you. Congratulations, you've closed and you recorded. You now own this home. Great when you get possession. That's where rentback comes into play. Mr. and Mrs. Seller is selling this home to buy their next home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller cannot take possession of their new home until they purchase it. But they can't purchase it until after they close on this home. What happens for a seller? Mr. and Mrs. Seller sells their old home. Congratulations, you're no longer a homeowner. The title company is going to take a portion of their proceeds, send it over for funding on, to the title company or the files or the bank on the home they're purchasing. And that's going to go toward their down payment, their closing costs, whatever funds it needs to be done. The rest of the proceeds from the sale of their old home is going to go into Mr. and Mrs. Seller's bank account. Sometimes it might be the same day. Most of the time, I'd say a good 90% of the time, the sellers are not going to see the proceeds from the sale of their home till the next business day. So if their old home closes on Friday, they are not going to most likely close on their new home until Monday or Tuesday if Monday happens to be a holiday. Okay? So they can't take possession until they close on the new home. So a lot of times sellers will say, hey, we need rent back. Rent back simply states that, we understand the home is now recorded in the new buyer's name. You are now the owners, but we need time after closing to be able to, occupy and move into our new home. Sometimes it's a couple of days. Sometimes it's a week. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. I had a deal last week where we had 3 offers on the home, and one of the offers we were going to accept, well, we accepted one offer who then pulled out literally 36 hours later because they lost financing, meaning there weren't really the pre-approval letter that their lender from a notable bank in the area wasn't a really good pre-approval because they didn't do the right information and they didn't send it to the underwriters to look at. Some banks are better than others. There's some pre-approvals we look at, like, yeah, we kind of understand that they didn't really do a pre-approval. And so we went to the backup offer, and the backup offer said, yeah, we are not interested in giving the seller rent back. The seller couldn't move into their new place until after it closes. She needs rent back. And so that deal didn't go through. This is where I thought it was important for you guys to understand. So I have a client who's selling their home. They are asking for a 3-week rent back from their buyers. Why? Because the home that they're buying, the sellers are asking for 1 week rent back so they can move into their new home. So they're buying a home. The sellers need 1 week to be able to move out to occupy their new home. So when she got an offer on her home, she said, look, I need 3 weeks afterwards to be able to move out because she can't take possession of her new home until a week after it closes. So that'll give her a week to finish up packing, do whatever she needs to do, and then gives her like up to 2 weeks to be able to move. Maybe do a little bit of painting beforehand and move into her new home. Sometimes rent back comes with charges. Sometimes the buyer might say, hey, we're happy to give you rent back. And we want you to pay 1/30th or 1/31st of our mortgage payment. So if you're going to be in the home for 5 days, we'd like you to pay 5 days of our mortgage for this month. That was usually pretty common with multiple offers and stuff. A lot of buyers are saying, hey, you know what? Take the time you need, take the 2 weeks, take the 3 weeks. We're not going to charge you for that. Just accept our offer. Rent back is important in the fact that for sellers, it gives them time after closing to be able to get possession of their new home and to be able to move into it, because they can't move into their new home again until it closes, and they can't close in the new home until after the old home closes. So that's where rent back really comes into play. As a buyer, you need to be aware that if you're buying a home that's owner occupied, there's a good chance the seller is going to need some time after closing to be able to move into their new home. As a seller, a lot of people say, hey, well, what do I do? How do I sell this old home and buy my new home? How do I have time to move into it? If I can't get possession after I close my house, and their mind kind of explodes. This is where we say, hey, we just tell the buyers we need some time. We need a rent back situation so that you have time to move into your new home. If the seller of the home they're buying needs a little bit of time, that might add some time for the home, their rent back for the home they're selling. Do you see it's a lot of juggling. Remember, 28 people involved in the purchase sale of a home. And if you're selling your home and buying a new home, then you're kind of looking more along the lines of like 56 people. It's a lot of juggling balls. We do a lot of juggling and a lot of things going on mentally. And this is where your realtor kind of comes into handy. We're going to sit down with you and say, look, what's our timelines? As a buyer's agent, we're going to be looking at our buyers and saying, okay, if we are closing early in the month, your first mortgage payment is not going to be due not next month, the month after. So this gives you a little bit of time. As a seller's agent, it might be the same way where we're going to say, hey, we got a little bit of time here. We got a little bit of time here. Let's make this work. Your realtors are really here to help you. Okay. A lot of buyers have concerns about rent back because what happens after the seller moves? Are we going to be left with a dump? Sometimes, I'm not going to lie to you because there's no sugarcoating here. Sometimes sellers do not clean the house or remove all the trash. This is where your realtor comes in handy. I've pulled up at a client's house to give keys and found the garage just full of trash. Called my husband, called my son-in-law, brought our trucks over, cleaned it out, had a house cleaner come in. That's what we're here for. We're going to make sure that the home is left. Sometimes with buyers, they'll say, hey, we want to do a walkthrough of the home before closing. That's great. You certainly can. You have that right as a buyer to do a walkthrough of the home prior to closing. However, if the seller's still in the home, it's going to be a mess because they're in the middle of packing. So be aware of that. Now, after closing, remember 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you're going to be getting keys to the home where the sellers removed the stuff and cleaned up the house. Broom cleaned the house. It's very rare that they leave the house a mess. Rent back is important for sellers because it gives them the time after the closing of the home to be able to move into their new home. For buyers, it's a question that you need to talk to your realtors about. All right? I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. 360-903-3504. If there's anything you need, remember, we have these and we have classes for home buyers and home sellers. We're happy to help. Have a great day.